I love thinking about brains. It started when I was a kid. I was lovingly teased about the shape of my noggin from day one. You see, my forehead is kind of big and protruding, like I have two literal corners to my forehead. I like to think they're vestigial horns from my previous life as a goat, or perhaps a mischievous little demon. Anyway, I've loved thinking about brains since I was a kid. There's the physiology of it all. Neurons and axons, and electrochemical signals, the psychology of it all, theory of mind and motivations and spectrums, the philosophy of it all. Does a brain in a vat send all the signals of day-to-day life no any different than a brain living in a human skull, like in the Matrix? I got really into what happens when something out of the ordinary happens. I learned the theory that psychosis is what happens when our sensory channels are jammed with too much noise through a broken reality filter. Recently, I watched psychosis settle into a brain. My mother's brain, to be exact. It started as thoughts, as breadcrumbs of strangeness. There are ants everywhere. The neighbors are evil. They're poisoning us. This silver ring has special powers. You must protect it at all costs. The thoughts became stronger and scarier and stronger and scarier until they rooted into her brain. There was a battle going on. Poisons everywhere. Bombs, vile experiments on people, and espionage to boot. Everything was urgent. All actions were critical and part of this ongoing battle. Characters in this other dimension included real people from her life and mythical beings and works of fiction. All of this was soaked in paranoia. Eventually, she became agitated and manic with fear. There were fights against invisible monsters and court trials detailing her enemies' hateful crimes. She took center stage, pleading passionately for the case of her allies against her enemies and their war crimes. I found myself transfixed by her. She's my mom, so I'm no stranger to her authoritative side, but this was different. I found her impressive. Her posture commanding, her voice strong, her diction formal, coherent and convincing. There was an air of performance about it befitting a court trial. My mother never allowed herself to believe that she might be creative. And thus, I found this world from her mind fascinating. I wondered what wrinkles in her brain this epic was spinning from. Who would show up next? How exactly did allies from all over the world come to humble Sugarland? How did we fight these enemies? What did these monsters look like? I did not enjoy watching her experience these signals in her brain, but there were times I wished that I could thread the pieces of the story together. Back in suburbia, though, my reality clashed. I couldn't quite get her to stay in my reality, so I tried to play a part in hers. Most times, I was too tired to sell the ruse. Other times, I would add another layer of make-believe and take it as a challenge to improv and yes and. I can't take this medicine. she'd say. But you need to. It's for your blood pressure. You could have another stroke, I'd say. No, it's poison. The evil people have tricked you. Where is my goddess doctor? These aren't poison. I got these from the goddess just now, I'd promise. This ploy works just once. After a few missed doses, I was desperate. I tried to force the pills into her mouth like giving pills to a dog. This does not work. Fast forward 2 weeks in real time, we're in the ER for her high blood pressure. I watched the shock of a foreign environment get slowly integrated into the Mama She cinematic universe. At first, we were in the hospital to reach her doctor from her world. Soon enough, the monsters and the spies had infiltrated, and everything was dangerous again. I watched how others watched her. The agitation is noted, and I felt seen. Days of falling into this other reality had left me disconnected and disassociated from what could be real or not. I watched the signals quiet in her brain with sedation and sleep. I wondered if she would wake up and escape that world back into the one I was in. I was hypervigilant. Every little action looked to me like she was falling back into her world. I wondered if the paranoia had infected my brain. By the third day, the nurses could see that her brain was in another reality. I finally got to consult with a psychiatrist for medications to soften the signals of that world. I'll never know exactly what is going on in her brain, in any brain. Part of it is she was in a lot of pain from a fall. The pain signals became warped in a brain that had survived a hemorrhage in the thalamus, the sensory relay station of the brain, warped into a battlefield that included invisible, faceless monsters, mythical creatures, and superhumans, and lots of violence. With time, pain management, and signal quieting medications, her brain began to flicker slowly back into my reality. She was no longer frantic and scared, but everything that happened there is still very real to her. There are times I see questioning in her eyes. Most days, I play along and I remind her that the battle is over. The scary people have been caught and punished, and that we're safe. I find it strange to witness her get stripped of that world. I can't shake the feeling that I'm taking something from her. Throughout the battle, there were moments of brightness, rallying old friends, visits by their bedside, small victories and times of celebration. I'm pulling strings I cannot see.